Right. Actually, if Franck
PoddyC
could go
clips.
through and surgically remove all the context before all of our sentences, that would be really ideal
just
here for this
just lay it out
podcast.
there. Have you guys paid attention to any of the exploits that have been happening? We did that.
Yeah.
Method at the second day of the expansion, their whole guild was 25, so they like abused it. Are you guys gonna do something? People need to go back to being scared about losing access to their account if they exploit things.
I mean, if I were you guys, I would just use every single exploit possible.
You'd probably get banned. It's episode 40, probably, of the PoddyC. This week, The War Within has come out, and, dude, earlier today, my guildies were playing League of Legends. Can you guys believe that? It's the 1 week of the new expansion's been out, and they were playing League of Legends. I could not believe it.
That is definitely surprising. If my guildies heard that, they would be so mad and jealous. For sure.
And we also added a third split today, but even that's like not gonna be hard to do or anything. Just level another guy.
Yeah, I think that's been that way really since Shadowlands. I think Shadowlands was the first expansion I logged in, so it's been the third expansion now where it's like, oh, I have all my stuff done, and I can go do some other stuff. I did.
You know,
I spent today doing some other stuff.
I've been hearing a lot about that, the content cadence. Have you guys been hearing a lot about that?
Yeah.
Especially in my chat, a lot of people are complaining.
People are asking me about it a lot in chat.
What do you guys think? Yeah, what do you guys think about the time gatekeeping or whatever you want to call it?
So I don't think the time gap is for us, for sure. If you were to talk to Blizzard about that, they would immediately be like, we want to make sure we give the majority of our player base time to level up, and I'm sure they have numbers that suggest that it takes them quite a bit to be ready for the season or something. It feels weird for us because it's like, for us, the game is the season, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the majority of WoW players, that's not true. So that's probably why it is that way. But it does feel a little like we're waiting an extra couple weeks for the thing to come out. But that's not surprising. It's been like that for expansions now. What was the difference in Dragonflight, right? It's the exact same thing. No, there's nothing different at the beginning of Dragonflight than it is right now. It's just...
Well, so I mean, I did say that too, because like I was wondering like why exactly are we hearing more complaints now than before, and I think the early access had a lot to do with it, because early access and the quicker leveling and there being no grinds required, because like at least before in the past, like say Shadowlands, you had to do them all, you had to do Torghast, and in BFA or Legion you had to do your class hall shit or weekly stuff, so you were like always occupied even if the season didn't start.
I think Dragonflight, even like the Cobalt
Yeah.
Assembly, the Obsidian Citadel, the super rare farms, those felt more real than any like renown farm, or I mean, unless you happen to be in a guild that's demented enough to be making 17 characters or whatever, it's there's not too much that you feel pressed to do.
Yeah, I'm hearing so many people who are like, now what? Or like, what do I do next week? Or like, what do I do this week? And there's just a lot of people who are like super lost, and I think a large part of it is because of like those combined stuff.
It's so funny.
I mean,
this same feeling happened in Shadowlands, where people for the first time were like, "Oh man, it's the beginning of the expansion, and I can actually like do some other stuff. I don't have to try to be online." Now the reason why is because you just got done with 4 years of I have to be online every day farming artifact power, right? And that was the first expansion where that wasn't true. So like the difference between that was like, oh, I can actually like not have to be logged in every second of every day. And that was a refreshing feeling. But it's interesting 3 expansions later where it's kind of flipped. And now it is, man, I wish I had something to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these guys just want the end game content to come out earlier. I mean, like,
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like at the end of the day, there's like 2 main player bases right now, right? Like the people who literally only care about the end game content and nothing else, and then there's the players who kind of do it all, right? Like the kind of players who care about like the rep grind, exploring the world, and getting their collectibles. And those guys, they could use the extra 2 weeks, but for the rest of these guys, they have absolutely nothing to do, and they just want to like play the game already. It's a new expansion, and it's like they're not playing the game. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah, and our communities are all vastly majority representing the community you were just talking about as well. So
I
we'll
think
hear more from that side.
there's some amount of like grass is always greener of this as well, where I think there are some people that definitely would want that, and then there are some people that would be complaining about the Legion launch as well if it happened to get like the same people would just they would be complaining in the other direction if that was happening.
What happened?
Like of just like, oh, you got to level up all your characters instantly as fast as you can to start your artifact knowledge, going as fast as you can on all your characters, and like all the and then you have to be in Mob Souls for 18 hours a day.
Yeah, Legion was like the polar opposite of this.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
I think there are people that would be happy with one and not the other, but there are also people that would just be complaining about either one. I also think that people that are coming into our Twitch chats versus the people are the people that aren't finding things that they want to do in WoW right now, which there is still stuff to do, right? Like there's some low value things you can do to make your character better. There's some profession stuff you could be doing as well if you like that. Also, there are people who engage with the end game of WoW, right? The M plus, the raid and stuff, and also like the idea of watching the cutscenes in the story. And previous WoW expansions have kind of made it so that like if you want to watch the cutscenes, you kind of feel stupid for doing it, and you feel like you're missing out and you're slow, and you should be skipping them so you can get to end game, so you can, start that stuff. And I think one big strength of War Within is that if you're a player who only has a couple hours a day, or if you're a player who missed some amount of time in these first few weeks, or if you're a player who just wants to watch the cutscenes, you can do that while also still being 100% optimal for M+, right? Like you're not going to be missing time or griefing that. And I think that there are definitely a lot of people for whom the 3.5 week wait to do any M+ is bad. But I do think that's probably a pretty small minority compared to everybody else. And those people are still going to have an exciting time in WoW. It's just going to be on September 17th, not on the expansion launch, which is weird. It is weird for the game to be like new, big on Twitch, second biggest game on Twitch or whatever, at a time when it's kind of the least important to play it if you're a super min-maxi player.
Yeah, I also think that this has been one of the expansions that, at least I think it's the first in a while, where from what I can tell, and I think my audience is definitely skews more, the bigger your audience, the more it skews casual, where you will hear people that are really happy with the story for the first time in a while. I remember asking my chat, keep in mind, I don't give a fuck about the story. Like I skip every cutscene, I don't care. But I would ask them like how you guys feel about it. I remember asking them this in the last 2 expansions. They're like, it's just WoW. This time they're like, oh, I kind of mess with it. I like what's going on. I like how the side quests feel really invested in, while they're not like, progressing the story. They feel, enough to where you'd want to invest in it. And really, this is again pretty far from our purview, but I think that maybe is the most important thing for WoW to get back, to be honest with you. And it seems like people are starting to buy into the 3 expansion saga thing that is starting now. So I think that's a very good sign.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the music too.
The music bangs. The music fucking owns. I've had the music on since the expansions come out.
Dude, Hallowfall as well. I mean,
one of the coolest zones ever.
All of us said it as soon as as soon as the beta week where they first, or the alpha week where you could first go there came out. All 3 of us were just like,
yeah, it's insane. It's the background of my computer.
Yeah,
I look at it all the time. It's an incredible. I think it's the coolest looking zone they've ever made.
I think so as well.
Yeah, the dungeons are really cool too. A lot of people have been enjoying the dungeons. Although I will say, I knew this was to happen, but I've been hearing a lot of people talk about how much they fucking hate Dawnbreaker and Dark Flame Cleft, and I knew this was gonna happen. I mean, like, there's no shot that whole like card in the darkness mechanic was gonna be well received, or just,
is that a Mythic Cleft dungeon this season?
Dawnbreaker is
not,
Dark Flame's not.
Yeah. I think Dark Flame. There's a couple of dungeons. Dark Flame Cleft, even the Priory, a dungeon that I actually think will end up being pretty good. You can tell that those dungeons have not gotten the this is going to be a Mythic Plus dungeon soon treatment. And if you ever need any evidence as to that being true, Brackenhide Hollow from Dragonflight is the best possible example of what that could be like. At least there's no Mythic Zeros this time, where you could really feel the pain of that. But oh my god, doing Brackenhide at the beginning expansion was such a nightmare, and it ended up being quite good. And it was clear that and this makes sense for them to do, that they put a lot more effort into the like 4 dungeons that will be Mythic Plus in season 1. I think you could feel that. I also think I feels like the best dungeons besides Dark Flame Cleft, the best War Within dungeons are in season 2 Mythic Plus, I think.
Yeah, the season 2 dungeons definitely look much more appealing.
Yeah, because the season 1 ones are Arakara, City of Echoes, City of Threads, Dawnbreaker, and God, what's the last one?
Stonevault.
Stonevault. I definitely like the season 2 set, like Cinder Brew. That's I'm looking forward to that dungeon.
I love that dungeon. Yep.
Yeah, I think the only one that will stink and need a lot of work is Dark Flame Cleft. That one doesn't translate very well to M+. Or I mean, even not even M+, just people who are playing this a lot. Like, people are already getting sick and tired of it and just doing it on Heroic.
We're kind of bearing the lead a little bit. How have you guys enjoyed the expansion launch?
I've enjoyed it.
You guys having fun?
Yeah.
It's been good.
I'm having a blast. I've actually had a ton of fun. The 3 classes I chose to play, I feel like are at all-time peak good gameplay for them. Like Frosty K, Windwalker, and Enhance, fucking mint. It is so good. I even spent like an hour the other day on dummies. Just having fun. Like, I'm not like trying to do big damage. I'm just like, holy shit, Enhance, man. Oh my god, it's so fun. I don't know if you guys have like played a class and just been like, this class is the shit. It's happened like two of my 3 characters are so fun.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's like that for a lot of the tanks right now.
Deathbringer
I mean,
DK.
a lot of people are coming in.
Oh.
Yeah, Deathbringer DK, Mountain Thing,
Bro,
Warrior.
DKs have flown under the radar for being a class that has 3 really sick hero talents. I don't know why it hasn't been mentioned as much as like Mage and other ones. Like Rider owns. Deathbringer
really is not that.
Bro, Deathbringer really owns. Like,
dude, Deathbringer hits when you got a target and you Reaper's Mark it, and then you scythe it twice, and another Reaper's Mark lands on it, and then it goes below 35%. The Reaper's Mark instantly explodes. You get 2 more scythes, you get another Reaper's Mark on it. And you're just like, oh.
Yeah, your pillar window as Frost is so satisfying, man. It is. It's great.
Yeah, Sandling sucks though. But yeah, the Rider and Deathbringer, absolute chef's kiss.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've been hearing everyone talking about like how much they love it too, which is like feels good because I've been like hyping up these hero talents and I talk.
Yeah,
it's
been
about
very
them
positive. Like you mentioned like, oh, it feels weird because we have so much time. Maybe it doesn't feel that way to me because for the last like couple days I've been streaming like 3 or 4 hours a day like usual, like I did before the expansion, and then I just go do other stuff, and that's fine for me. I'm used to that, right? But if you're like expecting new WoW expansion, all right, 12 hours a day for the next 3 weeks, and you're an endgame person, like you misled yourself, right? And that can kind of feel bad. But that's not been the feedback I've been getting. Like people seem very positive and happy and having fun in the expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I want to clarify. I think it's great. I think that the decision is good. The only part about this that I don't like is just the early access. I don't like the feeling of haves and have-nots that it creates. I don't like how it turns what should be independently a good change to the game, such as nerfing the leveling, right, making it so that you're not one-shotting mobs at level 70. That is a good change in a vacuum. Doing it after early access players have leveled
very weird.
a zillion characters, and the launchies start making it to the beaches, and then you nerf them. That's tough. I think that the optics on that are really messed up, and like Blizzard should not do it that way.
There was a bunch of really funny memes about the launch, like the haircut. Like there was like the RP community. Did you guys see that screenshot where like this guy had like a goblin outfit on, and he was just like, "Here come the poor people, the poor within," or whatever.
The poors.
And calling them launchies, bro.
Launchies, brokies. Yeah, there's been some. I will say, like, anybody that's doing any of that with any percentage of sincerity is unbelievably cringe, but
it's
doing it in pure jest is so fun. It's so funny.
It's so funny. Yeah. Hopefully no one's taking it bad, but I feel like let's actually talk about the early access. I think all of us were pretty against it. Like I know when they first announced it, I was like, this is just fucking lame. Like this shouldn't exist in an MMO. And I actually think I would love to hear their perspective on this. I don't think it was a success. And what I mean by that is, okay, so there was some rough estimation as to how many people purchased early access. I think the only concrete point of information we have is that exactly 23% of people who use the Wowhead add-on, which has to be below 0.5% of the player base. So it's an extremely small player base, but it is a sample of the player base, which we don't have otherwise. I think that Wowhead add-on users are, you guys might agree or disagree, I think they are more likely to actually buy the early access. I think
hugely.
It's like
I think
the Wowhead add-on only exists for you to send Wowhead data from your character. There's no, you don't get anything. It's like that
I didn't even know
trade
there was an
meme.
add-on.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't like.
it's like being an organ donor. Like
I don't know anyone who has this add-on, but people do. A lot of people. I looked at some stats. But okay, so those people, out of those people, 23% of people ordered early access. From how much the servers are getting owned now, I think it was actually less than that. I think, and this actually lines up with Diablo 4's numbers, which Diablo 4, I think it was like 10 to 15% of the player base was actually buying the early access. And I think WoW and Diablo 4's community is very similar. Certainly very similar in age, same demographic. I think it's a lot of the same players too. Yeah. So that ended up happening, I think, this time. Because as soon as the early access ended, the servers were just like, whoa, we cannot handle this, right? But I think however much money they made from selling, let's just say X% of those people who bought the Epic Edition wouldn't have bought it, and they only bought it for the early access. So how much money they made with it? I think they lost in hype for the expansion, at least on Twitch. And I think Twitch doesn't matter in a lot of ways, but I think it does matter when your game can be the game for a day or two, and everyone's favorite streamer is watching it, and all their viewers are like, oh shit, a new WoW expansion's out, right? I don't think we really had that day. And we did in Dragonflight. The viewership was down, I think, like by a couple 100,000 viewers or something. And I absolutely think that is because there was split hype between 2 days, right? And I think that they probably lost more exposure or marketing of the free marketing of the expansion than they gained in purchases of the Epic Edition. I think it probably didn't even work out. What do you guys think?
I would be surprised because it feels like there are a lot of people who were FOMOing extremely hard. Like I think more people fell than a lot of people expected.
Wait, what do you mean?
There's been like a lot of, because you know how like everyone's been talking about like memeing with the pictures, like Patrick and SpongeBob outside having fun, and Squidward.
Yeah,
just,
Squidward's really sad. Yeah.
yeah. Like there's been a lot of those types of meme pictures going around, and I've been like reading a lot of places where people are actually caving into the FOMO and actually bought into the expansion. I don't know. I'd be very surprised if the best indicator will be if they do this again. Like if they do this again, then clearly it worked before, and they're gonna continue doing it. But
that's another conversation too. I wonder when we're gonna be hearing about the next expansion, because I think it's very interesting when the next expansion is coming out. I've heard like, I don't know, I've heard some speculation that like they're gonna try to do like 1-year expansions, which is fucking insane.
1 year.
I have heard speculation. I think like the wide community speculation is they're gonna be like 18 to 20 months or something like that. Dragonflight was 21 months, right? So like something around the 18 to 20 area. So we may not be too long before we get the release date of that. Like if that was the case, we would be getting it in like less than 6 months. So definitely interested to see if they plan on doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's good.
Oh no, it was not good for sure, but I think it made the money.
It definitely created a lot of negative sentiment, right? Like that, it's a question of, is the money worth it? And how many people, so first of all, we already know people already buy Epic Editions, right? They'll buy Epic Editions when it's just cosmetics and stuff. You'll see people flying around with their Epic Edition cosmetics. So the question is, how many people bought Epic Edition that otherwise wouldn't have? You also have to subtract any people that would have unsubbed or whatever over protest of the early access. But I think even though there was negative sentiment, I don't think there was any of that. So the only money,
maybe 5 people. That
yeah, it's, I think a pretty small amount of people that are actually like upset enough about.
I'm one of them.
It. Yeah, that's right. All right, all of it. We're out of here. This is the last straw for me.
Yep.
I suspect there's probably a couple $1 million, maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's worth all that negative sentiment though, and also the lack of marketing that they got from, as you said, it not being the biggest thing on Twitch with quite the same sharpness of a peak as it would have had. Yeah.
Sorry, do you all see my?
Yeah.
Why is
What's going on over there?
There's no room on that couch. And instead of going to any other spot she's gonna make room. All right,
That's right.
she's in there.
Well,
That's where our friends
That's
are.
crazy.
Asserting dominance.
There is no space on that couch for anyone, but that's okay. Sorry, that was really distracting.
No, that's good. That's those three are us. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the early access was surprisingly a bigger deal than I initially expected.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Do you guys feel that way? Yeah, because
Like a bigger deal negatively, like people didn't like it more than you thought.
Or
they
in terms
were...
of like power level gained.
that and also just like the amount gained, like like you could have leveled so many characters super quick. You had like super smooth servers. You could have gotten an extra key. Just like a lot of little things. Oh, and people were making millions of gold on like the first 4 days.
It was definitely big if you were a gold maker.
Yeah, there were like I had people who were saying like, oh, I'm gonna do early access every single time because I can literally just make all that gold and back and more. So I basically got it for free plus getting like a couple million gold.
You could do it as an investment. You pay the money and then you'll make more than that in WoW tokens.
Well, I mean, or you could just buy the expansion with WoW tokens and then just make back more.
Indeed.
Yeah, people have been like profiting big time from the early access, more than I expected.
What do you guys think about the main city, Dornigal?
I like it. I know there's been some complaints about it being kind of hard to find stuff and things, but
That's me.
I don't know. There's a label weak or
I think
something.
I'm locked in now. I think I know where everything is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
someone
too.
linked me a weak ore that's supposed to like have a text thing over the map of where everything is. I think I know where everything is now. I'm a big fan. I have it's a very niche thing, but I love cities that are fun to drag and ride around aimlessly for hours. This one's top tier, man. Right up there with Valdrakken. A lot of little hoops and things you can go through. It's kind of weird, but like that.
Yeah.
I like how you can immediately go down the hole and you're right next to Ringing Deeps or Howlfall. And I think there's a portal to the other place, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of very quickly get everywhere in the world, and I think that was really well made. And I just think it looks cool. I'm down with it. I can't wait. Is it next Tuesday where we can turn into an Earthen?
Yeah.
Should be.
September
Looking forward
3rd,
to
they
that
said.
too. Dude, I think Earthen eat rocks and it gives them buffs.
Yeah, it's like me.
Yep.
Yep.
I want to eat rocks. I can't wait.
By the way, Earthen look like they're one of the like weakest races they've made for actually using for stuff, right? That's
Oh,
that's
for
kind of a
power? I
shame.
haven't even looked at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't
don't know
care.
either.
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
care.
I obviously like it doesn't usually matter unless you're trying to do MDI or TGP or race to world first or whatever. You know, play whatever. It looks cool. Eating rocks is
Like,
fun.
Yeah. I think Mechanome. Someone told me Mechanome
Mechanome
is
are
like
looking-
strangely way higher than like every other spec for rating at least. I think in Mythic Plus you like reset the buff a lot, but that would be. I hope that happens because Mechanomes look absolutely ridiculous, and I hope to see more of them. That's all.
I do not. What the hell?
Bro, they look dumb as hell. They're like
Yeah,
diaper
they look
babies.
awful.
It's crazy. Or diaper babies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a normal baby. I think I called them something else for that. They're diaper something. They've got a little diaper on. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Dornigal a lot too, but I am getting lost big time, especially because I'm not using like any weak ores or whatever. I'm just like having to constantly ask my chat, like, all right, where the fuck am I supposed to go for the crest vendor or whatever it is?
Yeah, I like kind of forcing myself to. I've forced myself to learn where everything is, and now I feel pretty confident. Like I could get anywhere in Dornigal, and I know where all the professions are and stuff. And it did take a couple of days, but I think that's much nicer than like a city where it's just, I don't know. Like I feel like this one has so much flavor to it. It's not like perfectly geometrically laid out like Ouroboros, and
Yeah.
it's got some good different looking areas and stuff. Yeah, I'm high on Dornigal for sure.
Have you guys paid attention to any of the exploits that have been happening?
Yeah, there's been a few.
Dratnos is on top of them.
Yeah, I've been
he?
exploiting early and often.
You've been doing them?
No, I haven't done any of the exploits myself. I know there was the big 25 renown with severed threads exploit. That one's a pretty big one, famously done by
get fixed?
Gingy on stream. Yeah.
Well, Gingy didn't go to 25. I think Echo has been, I could double check this, has been relatively, like, I think they've done it, but it's been like pretty low key. Method
Method
on like the
25.
second
Yeah.
Method at the second day of the expansion, their whole guild was 25, so they like abused it.
Was
And
man, was that quest even
yeah.
out on the second day of the expansion? Maybe they had a different way to get severed threads rep.
I
Yeah.
think if you just did things, the more accounts you had, it just multiplicatively scaled. And if you just added more accounts, you could get to 25 instantly. But that does bring in an interesting conversation that I have heard a lot about and I think about all the time. Because we have been in this thing with our raiders who are like, every passing day seeing no action or rollbacks being taken. And they're like, should we have exploited this? Like, can you do this? And that's fine. Right, and we're in such weird spot. Relo and Squishy had a tweet about this. It was like 2 or 3 days ago, where I think the point of their tweet was, people need to go back to being scared about losing access to their account if they exploit things. And honestly, I kind of feel that because what we're in a position as a guild is you always have to look at something, try to imagine where the imaginary line is of like if it is too out like extreme or not extreme to get banned, because they do let some exploits go through, and even when they roll back your character, you still are at an advantage compared to if you had not have done it. So seeing every potential exploit and having to think, is this an exploit we should do or not, is really annoying. I would really love if it was just like, don't fucking do that, but that's not what it is. They don't punish it that way. So they are letting you, you know, I don't know what they have to do with that, but it has been extremely frustrating. Our raiders are so frustrated because they're like, should we have exploited this? And it's like, no, they're going to roll it back. Okay, well, if they do, now had all of his gear deleted off his character. Did you guys see that clip? Because he did the crafting exploit?
I didn't see that, no.
Yeah, explain it.
Well, I don't know exactly how the exploit works, but he like logged on and they removed all the gear that he had. But guess what? He already had the eye level. So any piece of gear he got, he could just instantly upgrade it back to that point. The rollback did nothing, right? Rollbacks are not always going to get the right thing. And I just think, and it's not even just a Race World First guild, even as a player, you know, you feel like, oh, I don't know, I could probably get away with that. And I wish it was just more like there was a line in the sand of what to do and not to do, and not having to, maybe this is a Race World First specific problem, but having to like decide what exploits are okay and which ones aren't. It's been a huge issue.
I mean, if I were you guys, I would just use every single exploit possible, because
Yeah,
right
there's
now
an
it
argument
feels
for that.
like, yeah, because I mean, what I see is Blizzard doesn't want to take action because them taking action directly interferes with the race, and
Exactly. So then it
that's
makes
like
you
really
want
bad
to
for them.
exploit everything, but then
Right,
that's
yeah,
just
that's
such a meme. Like just
right.
exploit everything. We don't think they'll ever ban anyone because the race is so important and they'll never take action. But because of that, what they ask us to do, hey, if you guys see exploits, report them to us. Okay, we did. We reported every single one of these exploits and we did not do them. And then we're sitting here just watching everyone else do them, and it's like, okay, well, are you guys gonna fucking do something? Because like I feel like we shouldn't have told you this and just did it, right? And that is just so weird, and I don't know how to deal with it. But like,
you know
we
what
did this
all the
before,
haters
too.
are gonna say? We're all just gonna say like, oh well, they would have done it if they knew about it.
Yeah.
We knew about every single thing that happened. We just didn't do it on purpose because it seemed like an exploit.
Yeah, I mean, it just leaves such a bad precedent for Blizzard. I actually had this discussion with my chat before, and I've said it like how RMT back in the days, like back in the days, you know, during the mop days, you guys talk about all the time, like people would just openly RMT, even on like stream. Yeah, like people like straight up boosting on stream and
Oh
making
yeah,
tens and thousands of dollars,
we
and
did that.
it was just
We
something
Yeah,
that, yeah, like everyone did it, right? It was literally just something that Blizzard didn't give a fuck about. So like obviously as a player, you're like, why wouldn't I do this? Like I'm making fucking dollars off of this shit. So it's like you'd be dumb as hell if you weren't doing it. But like ever since they started cracking down on it, like now everyone's like scared to do it, and it's like
well, see,
something that's
not
like
really,
taboo. And
kind of. Like, okay, so this is actually, I had this conversation on stream the other day. So we were part of that. We were actually the guild that was punished the most by far. We were the example. So everyone else got like, after Nighthold, which is where the most RMT ever was happening, they banned like the officers of Method for like a week or two in the middle of the season that had nowhere close to Tuma Sargeras. They same with a bunch of other guilds, and it was kind of like a warning shot. We didn't get a warning shot, and they knew what we were doing. So we just kept doing sales because we were like, oh, they didn't get us. This is great. And then Tuma Sargeras comes around, and they banned the shit out of us. They kept banning us when we tried to like ban evade. Like we would just have someone log on. People account shared back then too. We would have someone log on someone's like second account. They would ban that character. Anyways, funny story. Actually, maybe this is a PoddyC segment. We actually found out years later that it was an officer, or in the officer chat of the world or the US second guild at the time, they were actually feeding all of our new account information to a Blizzard person and directly getting us banned. They still lost that tier, by the way, even though we took off 18 days. Maybe that's a story for another time, but
goddamn
we kept getting banned, and then since then we have had a hard stance, obviously, against doing any kind of RMT or account sharing. Why? Because we got absolutely fucked by Blizzard for doing it. No other guild did. You're saying like people got punished for it? No, they didn't. They got like warning shots. No one really got punished. We were like the only people that got absolutely screwed, where we lost an entire raid tier of progress because of this. And I remember having conversations on my stream with people, and they were like, "Do people in the race world first like RMT?" And I was like, "No, guys. Remember, all this stuff happened. There's no way anyone's RMTing." And I was including Method and Echo in that because I was just like, "Of course they're not. Like, why would anyone do that?" And then like the Gallywix thing happened, and Echo admitted that they were buying gold for like a super long time, and they were RMTing. And then that like blew my mind, and I was so confused as to why I was lying to my chat, and then it hit me. They didn't actually get punished, right? So why would you change what you're doing if no one's actually ever punished you for it, right? So all of that kind of lines up, and it leads back into the exploiting thing. If you're never actually punished for doing any exploits, the only thing Blizzard can expect from those people is to continue doing it, right? Even though they're asking you to report it. So it's just in this really weird twilight zone of exploits. I don't know.
The worst is definitely
I
if you can't predict what Blizzard's going to do, right? Like if there's an inconsistent application of rules, then you feel stupid for not exploiting, but you also don't want to exploit and risk the ban, and it's just the worst. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you just gotta exploit early and often. I feel like that's just how it is right now. As long as
as long as it's not too blatant, like as long as it's not something where you're like, oh, for sure this is getting banned, right? Like,
well, it's kind of hard to draw.
Where is that line? What do you think would have to happen for them to ban, not rollback, not unkill a boss? What would have to happen in the race world first for them to ban you?
I legit don't even know.
That is a good question. Yeah,
how did we get you banned? You would have to like get like some crazy. I mean,
even if you killed a boss doing something completely egregious, I think they would just unkill the boss. I don't think they would ban you. Like, do you guys remember when in Nighthold, when that one team had a Brewmaster monk that transcended the mobs in the last phase out of the room and they were gone forever? Yeah. Do you guys remember that exploit?
Yeah.
If that happened, that guild got banned. If that happened in today's day and age, I think Blizzard would actively hotfix it. And if they didn't get it in time before your ability to kill the boss, I think they would let the boss kill go through. And I think they would just nerf the boss for all the teams afterwards. I don't think they would. They have like a pretty hard stance of like leaving the boss the way it was when it killed, right? And they try to stop you from doing that stuff. But if they can't, they'll probably leave it in, you know? We didn't exploit the Anduin stars, but they actually didn't do any damage to us on our kill, right? So they had to leave it like that for the other. I think they would do the same thing.
It reminds me of
because like what are they gonna do? Just like fucking ban people and then like race is over and GG and it just like sours the entire taste.
I think it would depend a little bit on what somebody did, because I feel like if you blatantly account shared, you'd probably get banned. Like, I think that would probably.
I think you're right. Even though it's actually interesting. I don't think Blizzard has ever cared about Race to World First Guild's account sharing, for what it's worth. Like, they've never, ever. The whole, like, we don't account share anymore was because people were account sharing to sell runs to people. They were logging on buyer's account to play their character through a raid. That was the only, to my knowledge, the account sharing action against Race to World Firsts or against guilds at the top. It has never been, oh, wait, your third Moonkin logged on the alt of your first Moonkin because he had better gear than him. Like, that has never been actioned ever. People kind of stopped doing it, and maybe they would look at that different now. I just want to point out that has never been something that they've punished, ever.
Yeah.
So even that, who knows, right? I don't know. I feel like if it were to go, like, wild on Reddit, like, if basically, like, Team Liquid's channel did like a super cut around our facility and like Lip's character's in the raid, but like Lip is like in the kitchen and like his character's actively
funny.
raiding, then like Reddit would be like, wait, isn't he, you know, like, and then I feel like it would blow up and Blizzard would maybe have to do something, but like I said, there's no history to point to them actioning that. Random segue. I don't know. It's just been on my mind a lot recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about that too with like all the exploit talk going on. I mean, it's like all over Twitter and.
I mean, people are
that's just what
exploiting on
everyone's talking about.
stream, dude. That is the highest level of not giving a fuck about what Blizzard will do to you, right?
Yeah. I think there's also always like a worry of like, are the rules being inconsistently applied to different guilds, or different guilds being held to different standards as well, right? Which I know is something that, like, you guys have been worried about in the past as well, right? Is like, are we going to get banned for something that other teams are going to be able to get away with? Which, one of the nice things about a more consistent rule set would be that you could point to something, right? Because like, if you remember back, like Raw Den Grimoire cheese, right? That was something you guys like chose not to do, right? And then other guilds
And then other people did it.
and
There's
it
been
worked,
examples
right?
of
It's like,
Blizzard telling you not to do something, you don't do it, another guild does it, they don't care. Right?
Yeah, exactly, right? So like, I think that it would go a long way towards, you know, making it so that everybody just knew what was and wasn't going to be allowed. Because right now, I mean, it's not the end of the world if the answer is just, yeah, you can try whatever you want and we'll roll you back. And like, we're not going to ban people because some of these bugs can happen by accident. And so we don't want to ban people for that. Like that,
Yeah, like maybe.
That's not an unreasonable position for Blizzard to have. But the position of like, that's what we're actually going to do. But what we're going to say is don't do it and report it if you see it. And we'll ban you if you do it. And then we don't actually do that. Like that is
because
worse.
Because then you never want to ask them if something's okay, because just simply them telling you the answer is no is worse than if you never asked in the first
Right.
place and just guessed.
It's the don't
like-
ask for forgiveness
Oh.
or don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness thing, right?
Yeah, like for example, they might do rollbacks for this rep thing. You know, it's funny. We have actually one person in our guild that did it, and they just leveled multi-boxing. They just multi-boxed. They, instead of like leveling in a group and doing dungeons and stuff, they just triple boxed their characters maybe all the way to 80. And he's like, he was 12 when he hit 80, he was 12 renown with strands, and it's just simply he just got triple the value for renown just by playing the game and multi-boxing it, right? It's like I don't know exactly how they would handle that because some of it can happen by accident. So, not sure. Anyways, probably enough talk about exploits for today, but
I think so. Yeah, that's it is interesting. It's interesting to talk about. Always good to get some drama as well. Hopefully there are some good out of context 10-second sections of that, which will be spread around. That's what we always like to see.
Yeah, Frank could clip them and put them in the.
Right. Actually, if
PoddyC
Frank could
clips.
go through and surgically remove all the context before all of our sentences, that would be really ideal here for this
just lay it out
podcast.
there. Like cut out
That'd be really
basically
good.
everything and just be like, so methods at full 25 renown. Just like out of nowhere. Yeah. So about that.
You're not getting banned for it.
I don't know what else to the expansion stuck out to you guys. How are you guys? Have you guys been enjoying streaming? Are you guys like what else?
Dude, I
about
streamed for like
delves?
14 hours on the first day, and I'd been kind of a little sick the couple days before, but Squishy, our enemy from the Bench podcast, from Wowhead, was like, hey, we're testing out this new thing for featuring streamers on Wowhead. You know, does the time slot of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. work for you to see if our thing's working? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, that's fine. I love.
yes.
I was like, yeah, well, I'm probably going to be streaming. I'm probably still going to be awake, right? I'm waking up at like 1 p.m. and then the launch is at 3 p.m. So I'll probably stream for 14 hours, sure. But then at around midnight, I could feel my voice starting to get like a little, like my throat was kind of hurting. My voice was getting a little hoarse, but I was like, well, they're testing out this new thing. I don't want to like not be online when they're doing, I don't want to see, you know, I want to help out. I'll just keep it going. And that was bad. That was a poor decision. I griefed my voice in a way that took like 3 days to recover, where I just couldn't stream or make videos or anything. So that was not a good early access period for me either. But
Wait, what do you mean? Like, was it like your voice was hoarse? Did you sound like
Yeah.
RFK Jr.? Like, what,
I mean,
what was
you
wrong?
hear
it
him
was
right now
like
still.
worse than RFK Jr. It was not good. It was
Yeah, I mean, your voice is still kind of.
yeah, it's still not
recovered.
100%. It's a little hoarse still. But yeah, it was real bad for a couple days. It was like I open my mouth, I try to speak, and nothing comes out. And that was not good.
That's scary.
But it was still a fun expansion launch for me. I don't know. I had a good time. Also, didn't have to play WoW the whole time. I was fiending for some timed content. I timed an escape room with 1 second left on Sunday. So
There, you did an
pretty
escape
cool.
room?
Yeah,
That's fun. Yeah, escape rooms are very fun. Escape rooms are like, I mean, if you like problem solving, escape rooms are goated. That's like that's all. That's your shit.
that's one of my favorite things to do, dude. I did one with my guildies last month. We all hung out for a bit down in LA, and we did one that it had like it had an element of like social deduction sort of to it. It wasn't really well fleshed out, but they gave you some hidden roles at the start, and there was like some spies and some some thieves and stuff, and you had different objectives, and that was kind of cool. Yeah,
I
love
did an
those.
escape room in LA not super long ago, and it was so the way we got invited was we have a friend who's a girl, and she was getting asked out by a guy. So the guy was like, "Do you want to go to an escape room with me?" And then she was like, "Sure." And then she found out days later that no one else was going, and it was just gonna be those two, and she wasn't sure about like how she felt about it. So she was like, "Yo, I need a couple of you guys to just like show up just so it's like a group and it's chill." And I was like, "All right, cool." So we show up, and it was so comically bad. Like, we did fine in the escape room, but he clearly like wanted to go on the escape room date to show that he's very good at figuring things out. So like, and he kind of like, I mean, he was like, okay, you could tell he'd done a lot of escape rooms, but like he wanted to be the one to solve everything, to like flex on with the girl. And it was fucking tough, man. Like, it was so like
Wingman for him.
it was so obvious. No, I didn't want a wingman because the girl was my friend, and I could tell that she wasn't like super feeling it. So I wasn't gonna like
Yeah, I
wingman for the
see.
random guy. But yeah, it was pretty tough. A couple times like we were pretty close to solving stuff, and he would basically just be like, "Guys, fucking stop and listen." He'd be like, "Clear out, like ISO," which was pretty wild. Yeah, that was nuts. That made me think of that. You mentioned delves, Dorky. So we've talked about delves a lot. I think there's one thing they already super, super fucked up with delves, and that is that they were awful to level in. Now that I don't
Yeah.
think
Agreed.
they should have been awesome to where I think a bad interaction would have been you like farming the fastest delve over and over again to get experience. That actually sounds brutal, and similar to islands, it would have made people dislike something they never even had a chance to like, kind of thing. But what they should have done, I think, I would love to hear if you guys have any comeback for this. The first time you did every delve, the first time completion while you were leveling should have been the most efficient way to get experience in the game. And I think they fucked that up. It would have promoted discovery. You would have went and like gone out of your way to see all the delves. You wouldn't have been spamming any one of them. And you would have been getting like brand XP because like really there wasn't a reason to do delves,
Yeah.
right? Like you want to save your keys till Heroic Week. By the way, quick shout if any of you guys don't know that. Save your keys till Heroic Week, September 10th. And
PoddyC tip.
Yep. You can
Yep,
do one if
little
you want some
potty
rep
tip.
though, especially on a alt you don't care about, because there is rep when you open that chest at the end of a bountiful delve. So that is also an option if you want a little bit.
what did you guys think when you were doing leveling? Like I like did my first delve and I'm like, well, this wasn't worth it, and then I just never did it again. Seems like a mistake.
Yeah, there's also, okay, so there's the quests that are like, do this delve for the first time, right? That quest could just give a bunch of XP, but what it does right now is it gives Bran XP, and Bran has a capped level of 15 right now. So what you should do is get all those quests done, but not turn them in, and then turn them in once Bran's XP gets uncapped, which is definitely not a
Didn't
great
people
play
exploit
pattern
his
to
XP to
encourage.
60?
There was a little bit of that. People did exploit the XP to 60, but if you failed to do that, then
So are those still at 60 while everyone else is capped at 15?
I think so. Yeah, last I heard.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is solid.
One, I think, catastrophe for delves for leveling is definitely like somebody came into my chat and they were like, I've leveled one character, I'm at work playing, and I want to level another character, and I don't want to do the quests, and I don't want to do any group content. What's the best way for me to do that? And I was like, oh, probably doing some delves is probably a good idea. And he was like, I did one, but it only gave me 10% of an XP or of a level. Like, it didn't seem very good. That is a catastrophe. Like, if somebody is at work leveling a second character, looking for a good way to do that, and they don't want to do group content, and the answer isn't delves are great for you, this delves are for you, that seems like an ultimate catastrophe.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it makes sense in the expansion that you would want delves to be featured.
Yeah.
And it felt like they haven't been featured yet. You could argue in Heroic Week they're featured. I
They will
actually
be.
think that's correct. In Heroic Week, you will be you will be delving in Heroic Week. But I still feel like it was an unforced. They should have absolutely given you better experience. If you're choosing to play solo and going into delve to get experience, and it's a delve you haven't done before, you should be like, wow, I got a lot of experience for that. Because like, I don't know, delves don't have enough going on inside of them to make you like them, really, I think. So like, it would be like, we got a lot of experience. I like delves, you know? It'd be a W delve, right? It would have been a dub for delves.
Yeah.
It wasn't there.
I actually did a bunch of them to try to level. It's funny because like I finished my campaign, I got to 78, I think it was, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go spam some delves, and I like ran through all the delves once, and then like I went back to like spamming one of the easier ones, and holy fuck, I could not get a single level. So I just said screw it. I just went back to spamming dungeons, which is which is pretty much just how every single person leveled. Like everyone during early access was just spamming dungeons.
Bro, it was like less than 3 hours. That is the most goated
Yeah.
early expansion thing ever, and it's crazy that they decided to nerf it after the expansion actually released. But I think the reason why is, weren't we just really, really, really geared for level 70s? I feel like
I
that's
mean,
like when you hit level 80, you had like 20 eye levels more than you did in season 4. That I feel like in most
well, but even if you
expansions,
weren't
it's a
geared, though,
lot more than that.
Yeah, it
like,
is true that
even
just
on my
a regular 70 would
under-geared
also be
characters,
OP. Yeah.
yeah, like my like random shitter characters from season 1 or 2 of Dragonflight were still like fucking OP, and I was just like running through these dungeons.
But
I
I
don't
mean,
know, I mean,
if
it
you had
was kinda
season 4
weird.
gear, it was crazy. You were literally like one-shotting
Yeah.
bosses, which I think it is very understandable why Blizzard would look at that and be like, "Oh, we don't want you to do that." But that thought
Well,
needs
but they
to
should have also
happen.
buffed the nerf.
The nerf,
Or
the
they
nerf
should
was
have
not
buffed
bad. The
EXP.
timing of the
Yeah.
nerf,
Is bad.
understandable why anyone would be mad about that. But the nerf itself was definitely justified. It was super weird.
Yeah, like if that nerf had happened right before early access had started, tremendous. Great decision.
I
But
still think leveling is historically fast.
yeah,
Like even with the
Yeah, it
nerf,
is.
I think leveling through the campaign or just leveling from 70 to 80 is I'm
dude,
might be making this up. I think it is the fastest ever.
the stacking XP
is.
you get for your warband, each character you level is so
Goated.
good. That's genius.
Warband zone.
Yeah, warbands
that's
are so
actually
good.
my takeaway. That is my takeaway from the beginning of this expansion is warbands fucking own.
Yeah.
They're so good.
It's actually so great because there's this feeling of like, oh man, this side quest or whatever is here. I guess I should do that on this guy, and then I guess I should do it on every single guy I ever make. And Warbands just does away with that entirely. And Warbands instead is like, hey, you didn't do Ashkahet side quests on your main. You do them on your alt, you'll get the benefit on your main. Like, holy moly, it's so good. It's
Insane.
It makes me think that if they wanted to make any of the borrowed power systems that have sucked in WoW's past for like various acquisition reasons, Warbands go such a long way to fixing the big downside that a lot of them have had, which is that they were miserable on alts. Like if you just did Legion legendary or Legion artifact weapons, but with Warband wide artifact power, that fixes not all, but a lot of the things that made you feel bad about that system. Like a lot of what sucked on that system was logging onto your alt when your weapon was like garbage, and that just wouldn't happen anymore. It would just keep up automatically. It was so good. It would be so good.
Holy shit! Time to bring back borrow powers.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but,
saying
like-
one of the barriers has fallen to it being
yeah.
A great system.
Yeah, I tweeted about that today.
Yeah,
I've been
agreed.
thinking about that. I think I've ranted about that one time on stream, like every day for the past couple days. Where like, man, if you just went back in time, had current functioning warbands at the beginning of Legion all the way through Shadowlands, I think our opinion on borrow power would be totally different. It solves
true.
so much of the issue with those systems, which also begged the question: have we talked about this on the podcast recently? I know I've talked about it with a few of you. I just don't know if it was on the podcast or on my stream. Do you know what I'm about to talk about?
No.
The how many more rebuilding expansions do we need before we start cooking again?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
we talked
we
about that I
talked
think
about that
last
last episode.
week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's all I was about to bring up. But if we already talked about it last week, then maybe we shouldn't. But I wonder when we go back to adding a little bit more. We can't rebuild forever, right?
Yeah. I think warbands that is the biggest brick in the wall of, rebuilding that needed to happen. They're
Oh, yeah.
definitely-
I
it's,
do feel like
core.
something a little bit different could happen with the beginning of the expansion, because like Would it hurt if they made it so next week we get M0s or normal raid?
M0 would be safe, I think, next week.
Like,
Yeah.
what if we got M0s and normal raid, and that way you stagger out heroic raid too, and then like the following week would be heroic raid and maybe M plus, and then the third week would be mythic raid.
We should have heroic raid and mythic raid only for like at least 2 or 3 months before you can mythic plus.
That would go so hard.
That would go hard.
so hard.
Yeah. That would fix the problem
us
for the M
only
plus only players of the
heroic
myth
dungeons.
track.
Yeah, their problems would be gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I think there
was
is some downside to like the more you stagger content into different weeks, the more it does kind of dilute all of it. So like if it's like, oh, this is the veteran track week, and this is the champion track week, and this is the hero track week, and then this is the myth track week, like to some extent that's a smooth curve, but also like, are any of those weeks going to feel good, or are you going to feel kind of like, oh, I'm obligated to log in all 7 days of normal week to grind stuff, and then that's all going to get replaced when I log in for 7 days of heroic week, and then we can finally start playing the game in mythic week where like, I don't know.
But how many people are grinding normals? Like,
Yeah, but then,
realistically? It would
like-
just be like a couple of guilds, right?
I don't know, like, is that like an exciting way to launch the raid? I don't know. I mean, maybe it's fine. Maybe it'd be cool.
I think it would give like the players who want something to do like a taste of the end game content.
I think that the players that want something to do are overwhelmingly the giga sweaty players, because the players for whom normal raid is fun and engaging content are also the players that don't need there to be more than just the leveling, the campaign, the professions, all that stuff after a single week. Like I think those players are generally vibing right now. They're still happy with the expansion as is.
Yeah, I'm just curious 'cause how many of them are actually like giga sweaty, because I'm just imagining a lot of them as like the quote unquote mid core players.
I feel like those players don't play enough hours to be like
What does
already
mid-core
done.
mean?
It means
It's just
different
like- so, like,
things
you don't-
depending on every time you say it.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the way I see WoW split right now is there's only like really two types of content, right? Like there's like the giga casual content, which is literally everything falls over in 2 seconds and it's just like collectibles and stuff. And then there's like the end game content where like you're actually challenged, right? But not everyone wants to be like doing like mythic raids and high keys. So the people who are like doing anything below that, because right now, like if you want to actually play your class, there's not a lot of content where you can play your class. Everything just falls over 2 seconds. Like if you're doing normal or heroic dungeons right now, right? You can't even do your burst combo. Like if you're a Frost DK, you press your pillar, you can't even get like half of your pillar off. Or if you're doing it in Arcane Mage, you can't even get your touch off. So you can't like even feel your characters. At least that's what I've been hearing a lot. Like I
do think
have
that's fair.
friends who are coming back to the game, and one of them's an Arcane Mage, and he's like, dude, all this content is fucking pissed. Like I can't even, like I'm trying to practice my Arcane Mage, and I can't even get my touch combo off. So like you can't even practice your rotations or like really exert your class. And I think that's where the M0 bridges that gap. Like M0 isn't crazy hard content or isn't anything that like you have to
Oh, but
sweat
you could
in.
play your character.
Yeah, you can actually just
Yeah,
like,
I think you're
have
right. I
content where
think
you
you're
can play your
onto
character.
something. There is actually no way right now, if you like wanted to just feel your character in any real content, you wanted to fight enemies and see their health bar go down in a somewhat realistic manner, that does not exist in the game. There's nothing
Yeah,
you can
everything's
do to
I
do
mean,
completely
that.
you literally said you spent an hour in front of dummies, right, Max? So like,
yeah,
I
'cause that's
love
all
that.
you can do.
Yeah,
You can
I
only
love
get
that
doubles.
shit. I
That's-
love that shit. But the
that's it.
dummy's not trying to kill you.
right.
Yeah.
I felt that as well, like doing the Awakening the Machine event. I don't know if you guys have done that particular one yet, but it's very much like,
Yeah, I did.
oh wow, this is easy in a way that things aren't usually, right? Like, especially I DC'd once and came back a minute later and my guy was still alive, and I was like, oh, right, okay, I really can't fail this no matter what I do.
You can DC.
I did DC and I came back a minute later and it was fine.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we had someone's game crash during that thing, and it instantly failed. And
Oh, I came back.
And it's over. You can't redo it. It's
That's tough.
bricked.
Wait, what?
You can't rezone
So you
in.
lose
Yeah.
your key?
Yep.
Catastrophe.
That's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
It is indeed. Yeah. Pretty bad.
Yeah, like people really can't feel their classes right now. I'm hearing like all sorts of different takes about specific specs, because like obviously the specs that can just blow all your load in 2 seconds and do crazy damage. People are like, wow, this spec is OP.
Yeah.
But then, like, specs that it can't actually do damage. Everyone's like, wait, so does this spec actually suck? People are like talking about how like I thought Arcane Mage is supposed to be OP. Speaking of which, I've been seeing so many Arcane Mages. It's actually ridiculous. Everyone just like look at the tier list? Or
Everyone's a
what?
tier list, Andy. Yeah.
Everyone
Also,
just
the amount-
fucking
everyone's
just watched Max's
so
video.
everyone's so down on rogues. How many rogues have you seen just like out in the world, man? I know like sometimes they're stealth, right? But like it's if you go through the main city right now, you'll see like 0 or 1. But I don't think that's a tier list thing. I think that is people's general vibes about the spec were pretty down going into the expansion, and I think people feel that way. I'm like mages. It's not surprising to see a lot of mages. What have people been saying all of beta? Man, mages really have it good. No matter what spec you're playing, there's a hero talent that's awesome, and they're really good and all that stuff. So like people gravitate to that. It's because WoW has this weird problem in PvE where way less so in Raid, but true in Mythic Plus, which is the thing you do most of the time because Raid is weekly gated, is how good your spec is determines how fast your queue times are, like your queue times, right? Getting invited. And that just means whether you can or can't play the game, and that sucks. So you feel like you have to play the best thing. So
Yep.
Soloq M Mythic Plus, by the way, season 4 of this expansion. Let's fucking get it.
Yep.
Holy shit! By the
Time
way, did
for
you
it.
know Bench? They were talking shit about Solo Cube. They were saying it's bad. Those guys don't know anything, man.
Yeah, they're out of
They're
touch.
they're
Just
so
another
dumb.
example of the bench L.
Yeah.
Belch.
That's right. Belch.
Tettles is just a privileged DPS. He doesn't understand what is actually.
I am unbelievably pro Soloq M Mythic Plus. I think it's such a good
Same.
idea.
That's right. We
Yeah.
are the podcast of the people, the voice of the people. That's us.
Yep,
All right.
off a bench.
And speaking of how much we love the people, let's get a question from one of them who has chosen to support us by the Patreon as well, but also a valued member of the people in general. Gronk sends in the question, I've been watching a lot of these newer War Within cutscenes, and I think that this Illyria Windrunner, whom Lore Master Max taught me is Sylvanas' sister, has a fairly cool aesthetic. And it got me thinking, Destruction Warlocks got green fire, but other visual with no associated power gain ideas would be cool, and hero talents might be the place for that. Played Dark Ranger for a few seasons. Played Dark Ranger for 2 seasons. It's only been out for a couple of days. But, this is a question. All right. Yeah, okay. Played Dark Ranger for a few seasons and love the playstyle but want a new look? Try Void Ranger. It's the exact same talents with new Void visuals. Had your fun with Templar, but you've always been a fan of the Ashringer. Try the new Silverhand Paladin, same rotation, but now with righteous swords falling from the heavens. Do you think this would be a cool or realistic addition to hero talents after an expansion or 2 of playing with them? And if not, what, if anything, should they do with hero talents after an expansion or 2 to keep them fresh and exciting?
I don't think they need to do anything. I feel like they will just move on and keep updating hero talents maybe, but like they're not going to do anything new with it. I think they could add this in the shop, and I don't even think it has to be hero talent related. I think they can have different aesthetics for your class, I think it maybe goes away from theme, but like I'm thinking like a fire mage, you can just like get blue fire, like I mean they probably don't like that because frost is blue and maybe there's some weird shit with that, but like you could apply stuff like that across the whole game where it basically skins your abilities and shit,
Like
and I think that would go so hard, and it would actually be something that would actually make sense to pay for in the shop, right? Like but obviously just in case we're like picking sides here, like getting it for free would be fucking sweet, but I think all of us could understand that's exactly what would not happen if this kind of thing was added to the game. But I actually think that would be really cool. Not even hero talent related, just for every class, just having that option would be nice.
Yeah, I mean Blizzard needs that money, man. Like
That's right.
Yeah, just pay them, guys.
They're down bad.
Support your developers. Support.
I bought a couple extra Epic editions yesterday because I was just kind of feeling bad for them overall.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I just wanted to wait a tip. Blizzard
yeah.
and-
Oh yeah, I exactly. God, what was that? There was that. It was Quick, right, who had that post about like wanting to tip game devs, which honestly I felt that after playing Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, man, this kind of sucks that there's not any microtransactions I could buy to support this game. But anyways, Destrolock Green Fire is one of the coolest things WoW's ever done. They should definitely do more stuff like that. Like make a couple per expansion that are just, Giga Quest chains, put a couple in the shop, have a couple cost traders tendies or whatever. Like that would be so cool. I do think hero talents aren't the place for it because I think that was something that hero talents could have been, is reskins, right? Like hero class skins or whatever. I think it would be weird if you put like a different twist on what's already kind of a visually distinctive skin. All the hero talents are basically like, you know, oh, I have these 1 or 2 big visuals that play on this one thing, and like changing that. I don't know. I don't think hero talents are the place for it. I think it is a base class spec thing that would make the most sense for that, or even doing it for a single ability or something, like learning, you know, Khadgar's arcane Giga Death Laser instead of your own Arcane Surge or whatever. Like that would be you get a quest for doing that for when you find his disintegrated remains in the sea below Dalaran where it exploded.
Yeah, wait, did he die?
Yeah. Oh yeah, bad news.
There's no way. Nah,
You skipped the
I'm pretty
cutscene, you
that's
missed
fake
it.
News.
That's what
I
someone.
watched it. I watched it all, but I'm pretty sure it's fake ass news because they didn't even show his body. Like
That's true.
there's
If you
no
don't
way
see
they
the
just
body-
killed off Khadgar like that.
I think
That's
he died.
the fakest news ever.
No, I
I'm
think he's
pretty sure
over.
he's alive. He's a mage. He can just like ice block and blink out and
No, like
teleport out.
they blew up a whole city. That's what you have to do if you want to kill a mage. That's how you get through all the defensives.
He probably
Wait,
pressed his
imagine-
5 over defensives.
Imagine we had like a PoddyC listener that didn't get the early access and they're waiting to play until
Wait,
this weekend
spoilers?
to play the
Oh,
thing, and they
shit.
just get turbo. I mean, it's like the first thing that happens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they should know by now. What the hell?
Yeah.
Give
It's,
it the time.
But yeah, I think they need to work on the base hero talent aesthetics first before we gotta start on that before we move on, because stuff like Demon Hunter, man, where the hell are the visuals for that?
oh yeah.
We have Felskard, all you have like Sigil of Doom and stuff, but you're just using your normal abilities. Like I think that needs to change first. And then
Demon Surge looks
talent
kind of
work
cool,
on that,
but
they can-
yeah.
Much like talent
Yeah,
trees, I
but-
think hero talents are going to look totally and completely different and much better in 2 years. I think that's all it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get those first.
All right, cool question. I think that's it for us for this week. Remember to sub to the Patreon and stuff. We've got some Patreon content and things there. Under no circumstances listen to any episodes of The Bench, even though they air.
Yeah, do not do that. That is a
Like-
sign of treason. If we
Right.
find out you're like in their comment section or something,
That's
you're
right.
I
fucking
read
out
their
of here,
comments.
man. If you're a Patreon, canceled. If you are a YouTube commenter, banned. Like you're fucking out of here, man. You have to pick a side.
We're cross-referencing with your Twitch usernames and banning you in all 3 of our channels and in all the channels we have access to. It's
Yeah.
I'm
it's tough out
banning you
there.
from the channels that are associated with the bench too.
Wait, you have access to that?
Yep.
Oh, well,
Oh, yeah.
let's do
you're
some
just getting-
sabotage.
You're
Hang on.
You're getting fucking taken out. Yeah, just delete everyone. Just
Yeah.
take them out.
Yeah, just take it out.
You can't have a viewer base if they're all dead. You kill them. Come on. All right.
All right.
Goodbye,
So what are
everyone.
we killing?
Goodbye.
We're you are banning everyone on the benches.
Just ban all Twitch accounts on all of their channels.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. All right.
Did you guys know I actually had a mod that did that one time? I had a mod that, like, I guess the best way to describe his personality was like someone who meets you at an event, but then like sits around in the group and doesn't move on after they take a picture with you. That's like kind of the vibe of the mod. This was like 8 years ago, super long time ago. And then I didn't invite them to play Battlefield one night when they wanted to play, and I woke up like 2 days go by. I like turn on my stream and like no one's there. I'm like super confused, and I like look at the ban thing, and this guy like had an absolute mentee B and just banned everyone that was like has ever been in my Twitch channel. I unbanned like a lot of accounts because he freaked out and did that. So what I'm saying, Dorky, is you can be that guy for all of the bench.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah,
That
I'm
goes
taking it out
hard.
tonight.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that
you
goes
do
so
want
hard.
to be that guy, by the way, if you're listening to this. That is a very reasonable thing to do.
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
All right. Goodbye for real.
Right.